his wife. And Haman told them of the glory of his riches and the multitude of his children and all the things wherein the king had promoted him, and how he had advanced him above the princes and servants of the king. Haman said, moreover, yea, Esther, the queen, did let no man come in with the king unto the banquet that she had prepared, but myself, and tomorrow am I invited unto her also with the king. Yet all this availeth me nothing, so long as I see Mordecai, the Jew, sitting at the king's gate. Meaning, he had pride in who he was, and pride in what he was doing. He was a proud man. In chapter 6, verse 6, we find some more pride. So Haman came in, and when the king said unto him, what shall be done unto the man whom the king delighteth to honor? Now Haman thought in his heart, to whom would the king delight to honor more than to myself? That's pride. Who would the king want to honor more than me? I'm his second in command. That is pride. Pride. Jealousy. Esther 6:12. And Mordecai came again to the king's gate, but Haman hasted to his house, mourning and having his head covered. This is what takes place after Mordecai had just been paraded around town. Haman covers his head and is embarrassed. He's so jealous of what he just had to do for Mordecai. And then we find, of course, a couple of times that he's a gossiper. Every time something happens to him, he goes home, he gathers all his friends together, he gathers his wife, and this is what happened to me. Even when it's bad things, hey, this is what's going on. He's a gossiper. He loves to talk about things and tell people things. And these are his sins. Now, Haman's sins meet every criteria of things that God says he hates in Proverbs 6, 16 through 19. Every one of them. All 7. If you'll turn there to Proverbs 6, 16 through 19, we will read the 7 things that God hates. And God says, these 6 things doth the Lord hate. Yea, 7 are an abomination unto him. A proud look, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that deviseth wickedness or wicked imaginations, feet that be swift in running to mischief, and a false witness that speaketh lies, and he that soweth discord among his brethren. Every one of those things you can say, yeah, Haman did that. The proud look. We all know he's prideful. The lying tongue. He lied about God's people. The hands that shed innocent blood. Mordecai had done nothing wrong. A heart that deviseth wicked imaginations. Comes up with some kind of scheme to put Mordecai to death and all the Jews. Feet that be swift to running to mischief. Quick to say, hey, king, you should honor me. A false witness that speaketh lies. Once again, speaking lies against the children of Israel. And he that soweth discord among his brethren. There's contention there between him and Mordecai. There's contention there. And he runs home and gossiping about what's going on in the kingdom. Okay? All of these things God hates. But aren't we in a similar situation? Aren't we in a similar story? All of these things that he did is pushing him to build this gallows. And the sin in his life is hatred towards Mordecai. Put another board, build a gallows. His pride, let's put another board on the gallows. His lying, let's put another board on the gallows. Until eventually he hangs himself. We do the same thing every day. We sin without care. Our sins are our planks that we're building to make our own gallows. That one day, if we're not careful, we'll be hung on them, either in this life or when our life is over. We can be hung or on our own gallows. It doesn't take much to know about lying. Tell one lie. Oh, you got to tell another one to get out of that lie. You got to tell another lie to get out of both of those lies. And then all of a sudden someone finds the truth. Oh goodness, you just got hung on your own gallows. Every sin leads us to one day being hung on our own gallows. We get caught. And all of a sudden our lives are messed up. We get in the wrong place at the wrong time, get in prison, hung on our own gallows. Every sin has consequence. And if we don't get caught in this life, there's a God up there that's holding record of everything we say, everything we do, and He's going to ask you about it one day. We are building our own gallows. And sometimes we don't even realize it. Sometimes we do it and just keep doing it. I'm just gossiping. Everyone talks about people. Everybody gets in a conversation. Oh, he doesn't know we're talking about him. Who am I hurting with the lie? I mean, who am I hurting with that? But we're building these gallows that eventually our lives are going to be hanging on. And the truth is not going to outweigh the lies. Truth comes out and you lied. Trust there. There's trust there. If you lie, you're breaking the trust. We hang ourselves. So quick to hang ourselves on our own gallows. But the great thing, though, is Christ took our place. You know, we were supposed to be hanged. At the end of this life, all of our sins had drug us to go to hell. That would be our gallows, hanging, and that's it. Eternity in hell. But God took our gallows, and board by board, He tore them apart. Board by board, He took His crowbar and His hammer, and He pried those boards loose, and He tore your gallows down. I see Him coming in with a bulldozer and just riding over it. Okay, taking that big cannonball and just swinging it and knocking it down. Just splat. And He took board by board then. And He started making His own gallows, and He was nailing. It was a different shaped gallows, though. He was taking each board and nailing them together. And He said, this is your pride, and this is your lying, and this is when you disobey God, and this is when you lust, and this is when you don't, you're not nice, and you have hatred in your heart. And He made the gallows into something that didn't really look like a gallows. And board by board, He took your gallows apart and made a cross. And He hung on that cross. He became cursed so that we wouldn't have to be cursed. Whatever cursing that we had, when the day we accepted Jesus, He took our gallows apart. And He made His own. Nailed them together, board by board. Took our shame, took our punishment, and nailed it together. And hung on it so that we wouldn't have to. But even after He takes our punishment, even after we've accepted Him, we've believed on Jesus, and then He saved us, we still tend to go back to the cross, and we want to take pieces off and start building the gallows again. Right? We go back to the sin that He already died for. He already died for that, but we want to go take it, and we want to, I like what I'm building. I like what I'm building. It looks better than the cross. And I'm going to keep building, and I'm going to keep building, and I keep sinning, and God's sitting there standing right behind you saying, what are you doing? I took care of that. Why do you keep getting into the same thing that I got you out of? I got you out of that. Why are you still trying to build that? You need to go on to another project. Because the reality is we work on the same thing and we get frustrated because it never goes right. Has anyone ever assembled something? You're thinking you're doing it right, and I'm not the greatest at assembling things. I'll be honest. Candace will tell you. I get frustrated, and I'm not saying tools start flying, but some screws do. I'll knock my hands up, and then I'll bump something, and screws. It never comes out using all the parts that they gave you. And that's the key. All the parts, and you're like, one screw is loose, or one screw doesn't go all the way in. And I've used power tools, and it still wouldn't go all the way in. You try that. But it never goes the right way. It's something. I once tried to put a alternator in my truck, and the bolt wouldn't go all the way back in, and it hung out that far, and would not go back. It just stopped. It wouldn't go in anymore. And then I was like trying to get the belt on, and I didn't know how to do it. I didn't read the book on alternators. And I was sitting outside the parts store, and I thought, I'm going to save money, and I'm going to do this myself. Guess what I had to do? I had to go inside to the parts place and say, can you come out here? And I paid that guy like $50 to come out there and put the belt on, because he went in there, took his wrench and went click, belt on, $50 for 2 minutes of work. That's me assembling things. But we think that we can fix it. So, no, God, I know you died for that, but I still want it. I still want to sin. I still want to do wrong. I still want that board of pride. I still want to think of myself higher than other people. I still want that board of jealousy. That board where I see what others have and I want it. Or I see what gets done unto others and I get upset because they're giving the promotion to him when I know I deserve it. If you really deserved it, God would get it to you. And if you wait, maybe He's testing you. Maybe He's testing you to see if you're going to have the right attitude about someone else getting it. But no, you're jealous. I work harder than they do. The board of jealousy. Maybe you have that 2x4 of gossip. And any little story you get, you got to quickly go tell someone else. Or you can't wait till you tell that story. It's funnier when you tell it. That 2x4 of gossip. Or maybe you have that beam of lust and pornography and adultery and fornication. Maybe you have that problem. Your issue's not words. Your issue's not being jealous. Maybe your issue's hidden where others can't see it. Maybe you look at things you're not supposed to. Maybe you have thoughts that aren't of God. Maybe that's your issue. Maybe you have a board of idolatry. Maybe something in your life, anything small, is more important than God. That job that keeps you away from church on Sunday morning. Man, my dad, I thank him for that. When we were growing up and getting jobs, my dad said, if it's a job that works you on Sunday morning, you're not going to have it. And you try to tell a retail store that you're not going to work on Sunday and see what they tell you. See if you have a job. But I was blessed. I got a job at Sears. And every Saturday they said, hey, we need somebody. Why do they always need somebody on Sunday? I don't know. But my supervisor would say, you haven't ever worked a Sunday. You want to work tomorrow? And I said, no. No. Because I knew as soon as I did, then I'd start being put on the schedule without being asked. And people ask me, well, how did you not work on Sunday? You got to start not working on Sunday. And when they ask, you got to say, God is more important. But some of us, God's not more important. God's not worth standing up for and saying, I don't work Sundays. That's how it's going to be. If you're hiring me, I don't work Sundays.